This is Scratch number 2, so this is the second Scratch video that you guys are going to be going through. In this one, we are going to learn how to make a little game called Catch Gobo. So when we play Catch Gobo, when we click this green flag, a whole bunch of different sprites are going to appear, and then every time our sprite touches one, the score will change. So if you see I just touched the yellow one, my score changed to -10. If I touch a pink one, my score goes up to 0 because pink ones are worth +10, yellow ones are worth negative. So as I go through and I tap each one, the score is going to keep changing back and forth. I have a positive score and then down to a negative score, and then the game is over. So it's a very simple game, but it's going to be one that you will be able to get done in just a couple of minutes. All right, so let's get started. In order to do that, we are going to go into the My Stuff section on Scratch, and we are going to click New Projects. And we are going to title our project Catch Gobo Game. All right, first thing that we are going to do is we are going to set some programming for the cat sprite. We are going to use the cat sprite today, and we are also going to use 2 Gobo sprites. So for the first one, we are going to program for the cat sprite, and we need it to start moving when we click the green flag. So that means we need to go into Events, and we are going to drag over when green flag is clicked. All right, so once green flag is clicked, we want the cat sprite to start at a particular spot. So we want to tell it to go to a particular spot on the screen when the green flag is clicked. And we are going to tell it that we want it to go to x equals -190 and y equals 0. Then we are going to start using a score keeper on here. So we are going to go into the data section. Now there's nothing listed here, and that's because in the data section of codes, we make our own codes. So we are going to make a variable. So we're going to click that right there, and we're going to title this variable score. And we want the score available for all sprites. Since it's available for all sprites, that means that every sprite that we apply it to will be able to keep score. That's how we're able to get positive scores for the pink sprites and negative scores for the yellow sprites. So we're going to click OK. And if you notice, this little window popped up in the preview corner. If you don't want it to show on the screen, you can uncheck it and it'll go away. It'll still keep score, you just won't see it. But I'm going to leave it checked because since it's a game, we want the score to be seen. So now we want the score to be set to 0 when the game starts. So when the green flag is clicked, we want the score to be set to 0. So we are going to click this one over, set score to 0. Now if we had multiple variables, we could change that there. But we only have the one variable, so that's the only one we need to worry about. So that's all we need to do for that first piece of code. The second piece of code for this sprite is we are going to tell the sprite that we want it to go wherever the mouse goes. So if you remember looking at that sample one I went to, wherever I move the mouse, the sprite went, and I was able to control the sprite that way. So we are going to start it off. We want it to start when the green flag is clicked. So we are going to go here, drag this piece of code over. And this is something we want to keep happening throughout the entire game, and we never want it to stop. So when we want an action to run for the entire duration of the game and never stop, we go under Control and we choose Forever. So we're going to click and drag Forever over. Now under Motion, there is a specific piece of code that we are going to use that's going to allow us to have the sprite move along with our mouse. And that code is go to mouse pointer, and we're going to drop it right in the forever sandwich. So there's a couple of different options that might be on here depending on what our game looks like. We could choose random position or we can choose mouse pointer. So we're going to have it go to mouse pointer. Now once the green flag is clicked, we can test this out and the sprite should follow wherever our mouse goes. So I'm going to click the sprite and now I'm able to drag that sprite. I'm not clicking or holding anything on my mouse. I'm just moving the mouse around the page and the sprite moves as well. And I'm going to click the stop sign to get it to stop. So those are the first pieces of code that we are going to need. The next ones are going to be on a different sprite. So because of that, we need to add that sprite into the mix because right now we only have the single sprite there. So I'm going to click the new sprite icon and it's going to take me to here, and we want to look for one called Gobo. Where is he? There we go, there's Gobo. So we're going to click Gobo. Now if we go look at his costumes, you're going to see there are 3 different costumes, 3 different looks kind of on his face. I'm going to leave it just with Gobo A. And then when we go to scripts, we see that this one is highlighted in blue, so that means we're programming for this one. But there are no scripts, no codes for this one. So we need to add some codes. So we want the little Gobo character to start his actions when the flag is clicked, just like with everything else. So again, we're going to go to events, go to green flag is clicked, and drag it over. So if you noticed back in the sample one, these little Gobo characters did not show up until after the green flag is clicked. So that means once the green flag is clicked, then we want the Gobo character to show up. So we're going to go under looks because that's controlling what we see and do not see. So this Gobo character is going to be there whether or not we see them. They're going to be hidden because we are going to drag over a show, and we are also going to drag over a hide because we are going to control when the player sees the Gobos. So then we're going to add in some controls, add in a piece of code that's going to tell the sprite, this Gobo sprite, to disappear when it touches the sprite, with the cat sprite. So to do that, we're going to go under control, We're going to go under control. And we're going to choose this piece of code right here. Now you're going to notice it's got sort of a diamond shape in the middle. And that's because we are going to use some of the sensing controls. See how all of these are diamond shaped? These are diamond shaped because these are the types of codes that need to go inside of a code like wait until. So I'm going to drag it up in between show and hide. Now we are going to wait until it is touching sprite number 1. So we need a touching code, which is this one right here. So that Gobo character, that Gobo sprite, is not going to do anything until it touches this sprite number 1, the cat. So we are going to tell the piece of code to wait until it touches sprite number 1. And then we are going to also need to add something in about the score. We could leave it just like this if we wanted to. If we left it just like this, then no score would be kept. The sprite, you can watch here, I've got my sprite number 1 moving. I can touch the Gobo character and the score did not change. So it'll still work, it just won't keep score. So if we wanted to keep score, we have to go back to data because that's where all of our score codes are. And you should see, I would bet you can pick out the code that you want from here. We're going to choose change score. And we're going to drag it over there. Because we want, when the green flag is clicked, we want that Gobo character to show up. We want it to stay there until it touches the cat. Once it touches the cat, we want the score to change by, we are going to put in -10. And then once that score is changed to -10, then we want that Gobo sprite to go away and to hide. So that's all we need for that one. That's all the code we need to make the score change. So now if you click the green flag, you've got your sprite number 1 floating around. If you touch the yellow Gobo, you're going to notice up here under score that your score went down to -10, which is exactly what you wanted to do. So the next thing we're going to do is we need a couple of these. So the easiest way to do that is we are going to duplicate them. So if you right click on that sprite, you have the option to duplicate. So I want you to duplicate 3 of them, so you have 3 total. And now if you notice, as I'm clicking on them, they're sort of flashing up on the screen wherever they've landed. It is randomly putting them on the screen. If you want the Gobos to show up in a specific spot, then you need to add in a motion code. You need to tell it to go to a specific spot first. So first it would go right there or right there. But we don't need to do that, so I'm going to delete it. So now we're going to add those pink sprites, those pink Gobos, the ones that will add our score a positive 10 points. So to do that, we are going to go to, actually just going to copy this one. Going to duplicate it one more time, and on Gobo number 4, I'm going to go into costumes. And we're going to edit the Gobo a little bit. So the cool thing about this is since you have Surface Pro 3s, if you use your stylus and you click on this pencil icon, you have the ability to draw on your Gobo. So you can add little eyebrows. You can do this on any sprite. You can even actually design your own sprites if you're super artistic. But what we are going to do today, and I'm actually going to undo those 2 little eyebrows I made, as entertaining as they might be. I'm going to click the paint bucket, and we're going to color the whole Gobo sprite to be pink. So as I hover over it, I can click and change it to pink. But if you notice, it only changed the main section in the middle. I also need to go and change all the limbs. So I'm just clicking in them to paint them a color, and now it's pink. It's all set. I see he's pink over here. So now I can go back to scripts. And all we are going to need to do is to go into the score strip, the score piece of code, and change the -10 to a positive 10. And then we are going to duplicate and duplicates. So we have 3 total. And if I click on the screen, you're going to see it flash a little bit where they all landed. Remember, if you want them to land in a certain specific spot, you need to use a motion one, a go-to, to tell it where you want it to go. So now if we're ready to play, we click the green flag and all of the little Gobo characters show up. So we have 6 sprites on the screen. If you watch the score box, anytime I hit a yellow one, it's going to turn to -10. Anytime I hit a pink one, it's going to gain 10 points. So you can keep playing over and over again. You can add as many sprites as you like. You can add, multiple ones. You can change the point value. You can do a whole bunch of different things. If you get really adventurous, you can also, instead of for sprite number 1, having it go to the mouse pointer, you can play around with having it follow commands using the keystrokes, so you can move it around using the keyboard. Lots of different options with this game. So that's the basics of this game. For your assignment, you're going to make your own version of this game. So you're going to go check the OneNote notebook, go check on campus, and you should see all of the resources for this game there.